If you're watching this video, it's probably because you're planning a move abroad or a life of slow travel bopping around the world. If that's you, one of the questions you're probably dealing with right now is what to do with your stuff. In my work, helping people relocate out of the United States, this is probably the area that gets the most underestimated, the amount of time, effort, and money involved in getting rid of your stuff. It's my hope that by the end of this video, you'll be better prepared to undertake this journey and be able to manage in such a way that you're not left exhausted and discouraged. But before we jump into that, allow me to introduce myself in case you are new here. I'm Adelia Aborishade, also known as Picky Girl Travels the World. I left the United States 7 years ago in search of a life that brought me joy and happiness. Spoiler alert, I found it, and now I help other people, particularly Black women, do the same. On this channel, I share my experiences living in other countries, traveling the world solo, as well as financial education content, because no matter what you've been told, money does buy happiness. Money gives you options, it gives you possibilities, it gives you flexibility. So if any of that sounds good to you, subscribe to the channel, turn on notifications. Welcome to the Picky Girl Nation. As I mentioned at the beginning of this video, if you are contemplating or planning a move abroad or shifting toward a life of full-time travel, this video is for you. Because if you're going to do either one of those things, you're going to have to do it with less of the stuff that you currently have. But if you are getting a divorce, you're breaking up, in some way desiring to downsize your life, the information I'm going to share today would be useful to you as well. Okay, so let's start with some basic things you need to make sure you understand. The first is the process of decluttering, the process of getting rid of what you own. It is going to take far longer than you expect. Trust me on this. It is going to take you longer than you planned for. So even if your big life change is a year away, 2 years away, start now. You will thank me. You'll thank me. Okay, so why is this process going to take you so much longer than you think? For a couple of reasons. First of all, you have curated a collection across all the years of your life of things that have sentimental value, things that have monetary value, things that you have emotional attachments to. Those attachments are not severed immediately or overnight just because you decided to pack up your bag and move to Istanbul. So you've got to allow yourself time to mourn the loss of those things. And I know that might sound a little crazy, but the reality is when you bought the item, you expected probably to own it forever. And now your forever is looking different. So it is you're giving that away. You're losing this thing that you thought, because you must have liked it. It must have meant something to you. And now you're giving that away. So let's not discount the importance of allowing ourselves the time and the space we need to mourn the loss of our stuff. Another reason this process is going to take you longer than you think is particularly true if your plan is to make some money. I know for some of you, when you look at your house full of things, all you see are dollar signs. You're thinking about the money you spent and you'd like to recoup some of that. Or possibly it is through the sale of these items that you will partially fund your travels or your move abroad. It takes time to find your sellers and make the money. You cannot, if your goal is to make money on this process, you cannot rush that. So you need to build in more time. And finally, if you're like, no, girl, people can take this stuff. I'm over it. I will give it all away. That is great. Your life will be easier. However, that will take time as well. The world that we live in now, I don't know if it's due to the pandemic. It's just the saturation point for all of this consumerism we've been encouraged to do. But giving away things actually is not quite as easy as you think it is. So for all of those reasons, this process is going to take you longer, and you need to make sure that you give yourself as much time as possible. That means even if you've not fully committed to this idea of a lifestyle change, start decluttering now, because I can almost guarantee you own things you do not use. And there is no point in holding on to those. That's just one more obstacle between you and the life that you want. So we're going to talk to the folks that are hoping to sell some of their items. I have a reputation for not sugarcoating things. So know that I say this with love, but also know that I say this because it needs to be said. When you are considering which of your items to sell, which of them to donate, and what should just get tossed in the trash, you gotta let your personal feelings out of this. What you paid for something does not matter. Just because you like it doesn't mean customers will. Okay, so let go of this idea that I paid X hundreds of dollars for this, therefore it is worth this. No, ma'am. It is worth what people are willing to pay for it, and not a penny more. Repeat that to yourself. This is only worth what people will pay for it. Now, in an effort to save yourself some heartache and frustration, you need to go through your things and really look at them and ask yourself, what do I see a demand for right now? Do I own items that are popular brands or popular items that people are really chomping at the bit for? Those are the things you sell. So like a big screen TV. Everybody's got big screen TVs. Why somebody wants to buy your big screen TV secondhand? That's the question you need to ask yourself. Things like Ninja blenders or air fryers. Those are the kinds of things people are looking to buy. So it needs to either be a product that's very popular, that there's a lot of demand for, or it needs to be a popular brand. Like you have a set of all-clad pots, you have some La Creuset, things of that nature where there's always a built-in market. That's the kind of stuff that gets sold. But don't set yourself up for disappointment trying to sell something that you spent a lot of money on, solely trying to recoup some of that, because that's going to get your heart broken. I will also point out to you, because again, I'm the person that's not going to sugarcoat things. As I said before, what you pay for it doesn't matter. So if you do have those really high in demand products, that doesn't mean you can charge near retail or what you paid. You need to price things attractively. As many of you know, about a year ago, I helped my friend Rashida Dow, who also has a YouTube channel, declutter. I helped her empty a storage unit that she'd not seen for 5 years. And I helped her do it in 2 weeks. And one of the things that I think almost broke her heart was that we had to sell her all-clad pots and pans. And this is a set that was probably worth thousands of dollars, and we sold it for hundreds of dollars. But the point was, we had 2 weeks and we needed to get it sold. So I'm sharing this with you because you need to price things to move. Now, if this is a hard no for you, you are like, no, I know what I paid for this. I know what these are worth, and I'll be damned if I sell it for less. That's fine for you to make that choice, but you're going to have to give yourself more time. Now, if you're curious about what it looks like emptying a storage unit in just 2 weeks' time, you can check out the video on Rashida's channel. I'll link it below in the description. If you've made your decisions about the items that you wish to sell, where are you going to sell them? I don't recommend garage sales because typically the people who come to garage sales are bargain hunters. They are there for the thrill of haggling and getting you to sell it for the least amount possible. The amount of time and effort that goes into a garage sale, I don't believe that there's a benefit there. So things like OfferUp, Facebook Marketplace, online marketplaces are going to be your best bet for selling these things, but you do need to be aware that the scammers be scamming. A lot of people are going to hit you up. They're going to ask, well, can I come see it first? This is why it's important that when you post things online, you make sure that you have great pictures. They'll ask, well, can I hold it? I can't come today, but I'll send you a Zelle. I'll send you Cash App. Don't do that. They might be genuine, but in my experience, the vast majority of the people who do that are scammers, and they're looking for a way to scam you. This is cash and carry. First come, first serve. I just want to encourage you to be alert and be aware. One particular item that sometimes gives people a little bit of trouble when it comes to selling are books. If you own a lot of books, it's probably because you love them. So getting rid of them is already going to be traumatic. But the resale market for books is not great, okay? So our options are to sell, to donate, or to trash. No one wants to throw books away, okay? So let's just remove that unless they are in bad shape or they're the Encyclopedia Britannica from 1985, because nobody wants that. So yeah, you can sell books at a place like Half Price Books, but no, they're really doing you a favor, because if they're going to turn around and sell the book they bought from you for half of the cover value, think of how little they're going to pay you. Selling books to Half Price Books is one of those, well, it's better than going in a landfill and you get some money, but it will be pennies on the dollar. So just prepare yourself for that. Okay, here I go again, not sugarcoating things. A lot of folks think and feel because they've kept this item in their house all these years, somebody else wants it in the condition it is in. And that is not true. You need to be honest about the condition of the items you are wishing to donate, because nobody wants to take crappy stuff. Okay, they don't. They'll end up, you're thinking, oh, I'll donate this so it doesn't end up in a landfill. But if it's not in good condition, they're just going to throw it away. Think about it this way. If you're trying to decide if something is worth giving away or should it go in the trash, if it was displayed publicly as a donation from you with your name attached, would you be embarrassed? If the answer to that is yes, throw that shit away. So a lot of times when we are deciding to donate things, we want to give back, we want to help out other people. The problem is a lot of our go-to organizations, that is not what is happening. A lot of people think, first thought, oh, I'll give all that stuff to Goodwill. I'll call Salvation Army or Purple Heart or whomever to come pick it up and take it. We need to be honest about that sort of thing. We're not going to get into the politics and the policies of those various kinds of organizations, because that's another conversation. But understand, all of those organizations, when you give the stuff to them, they are looking for things that they can sell. The other issue is the volume of stuff that they get each year. Somebody like Goodwill gets billions of tons of donations a year, only half of what they get gets sent to the store. A lot of what they get is in crappy condition because people didn't filter stuff out. And so it's sent immediately to be incinerated, put in a landfill, turned into rags or what have you. Depending on where you are and the condition of like the clothing or the stuff you donate, if it's not sold in stores, and I told you only half of it is, it's usually sent to like bulk wholesalers who then eventually sell it in other countries, which has an economic impact on industries in other countries. So I'm not saying don't go that route. I'm just saying if your goal is for your things to end up in the hands of people who need them and to help other people, I would explore other options first. I would leave the big charities, the big well-known charities for last. So who should you give the stuff to? Okay, so you need to shift your thinking. Think about homeless missions, women's shelters, mutual aid organizations. Those are very grassroots. Those are going to be the things that get your stuff in the hands of people who need the help. Things like a no-buy group or free cycle. Again, you offer the stuff to those kinds of groups and you are not expecting to get any money for them. And people who need or want will get them. Now, understand, some people might be getting it to resell it, but hey, if you're helping somebody economically, that's how they use it is not my business. Now, there are some items that are harder to get rid of maybe than others because, again, every organization doesn't accept every item. Some places will not take mattresses. They will not take, electrical fixtures, lamps. Some places won't take sheets. So something to think about is when you are donating, don't just pile everything into a box or everything into trash bags. You really need to separate items with like items because there may be somebody who will take used linens, like an animal shelter often will take those, but don't have that mixed in with other items that they probably don't take. We were talking about books before. Donating books, think about libraries. That's one. Most libraries typically have an ongoing Friends of the Library book sale. So donating to them, donating to prison book programs. It also depends on the kind of books you have. If you have mostly children's books, after school programs, women's shelters, because women's shelters generally include children. If they are more like technical books, you've got to be honest with yourself about the age of the information in those books. It may be outdated. Nobody wants that. Let's say you're cleaning out your stuff and you've got, like lots of pens, pencils, Post-it notes, paper clips, and you're like, well, what do I do with this? You can donate that to your local school, public school, private school. Trust me, they will want it. As someone who taught in public schools for nearly 20 years, teachers often are coming out of their pocket to provide supplies. So if you've got an abundance of office supplies, absolutely, schools, after school programs, great place to donate those. In the US, we often have so much stuff because instead of a periodic declutter, what we're really good about doing is organizing things and buying bins to put stuff in so we can put it in storage, so we can put it in the attic, so on and so forth. Well, now that you're leaving, you've got all these plastic storage bins. So what can you do with those? You can donate those to schools, scout groups, theater programs. Anybody who has the need to store things. Storage bins go really well on free cycle groups and no buy groups because people still got to store things. I don't suggest trying to sell them because they are generally sold so cheaply in the store that it's not going to be worth your time. Fabric. When I left the US, I had a huge fabric stash that I could not afford to take with me, so I needed to get rid of that. And you can post a destash like on social media, but something you could also do is donate that to programs. Well, it depends on the kind of fabric you have. Project Linus, there are various organizations that make quilts like for veterans and things like that. The home ec teacher or the family consumer science teacher, I don't know what they call it where you live, but those teachers always have kids who, for whatever reason, can't provide their own fabric. I would strongly lean on my home ec and family consumer science teachers because they will probably have a need for a variety of notions, different types of fabrics. If you have specifically woven cotton, or you've got flannel, or you've got polyurethane laminate fabrics, Days for Girls is an organization that provides reusable menstrual pads for girls around the world so they can continue to go to school. They accept donations, but they also have groups around the world who actually sew those pads. And so if you've got the components that they use to make them, you can ship those to them and they will take them. Speaking of ways to help women around the world, do you have a bunch of gently used bras? Your size has changed, they were uncomfortable, what have you. You can actually donate bras to a group called Free the Girls. And yes, that name is a double entendre there. What they do is they have, if you go to the Free the Girls website and you can look for drop-off places, they have them all over the country. If there isn't one near you, you can mail your gently used bras, all sizes, to them. And what they do is in other countries, particularly women who have been rescued from trafficking and sex work, it allows them an ability to make money by selling the bras to other women. So they create a business, they have a way to earn money that doesn't force them to interact with men. It's one of my favorite organizations. Let's say you've got a bunch of kitchen items because you're moving to a whole new country or you're becoming a nomad. You don't need 27 forks and 38 knives and all of that stuff. Consider women's shelters, missions, anybody who helps people who are transitioning out of homelessness could use those things. Furniture is probably, I think, right after books, the other big item that people struggle to get rid of. Last year, Rashida and I struggled to find somebody to take her practically brand new sofa. Goodwill was like, we got too many sofas. Other places were very selective about the type of sofa, the style, so on and so forth. So if you don't want the furniture, people don't want to buy it, and you're trying to get rid of it, consider theater companies or the theater program at your local junior high or high school. They often need a variety of props and household items for their productions. Habitat for Humanity has restores. Depending on what it is, sometimes they take light fixtures, ceiling fans, cabinetry, a variety of things. Sometimes they take appliances. It just depends. You've got to find out what are their requirements. Another organization called The Ark. They take furniture, housewares, but they also take electronics. And again, when you're donating electronics, it's got to be fairly recent. Nobody wants your old bubble back TV, okay? They actually take used vehicles and boats. So you've got a boat out in the yard that nobody will buy, check them out. If you've got furniture and you still can't find anybody to take it, try the Furniture Bank Network. They may be able to connect you with, it really depends on where you live, but they can connect you with organizations that are looking for specific types of furniture. And then there is Mutual Aid Hub. Let's say you've got a refrigerator, and refrigerators are one of those things that we don't replace very often, so you may be finding it difficult to get rid of it and you don't want to pay to have it hauled off to the dump. Mutualaidhub.org. Again, mutual aid means I'm giving this directly to somebody I know who needs it. So furniture, appliances, things like that might be difficult to donate elsewhere, this might be a great place for that. Worst case scenario, you cannot find anybody to take things off your hand. You don't want to deal with the Salvation Armies and the Purple Hearts of the world. You can try resale shops, for-profit resale shops. You can donate to them. You do not get a tax write-off. However, everybody who has moved knows there comes a point where you're just like, I need it gone. I don't care how it gets gone. So consider that. They will often take a variety of items that maybe you have really had a hard time finding somebody to take, and they might be willing to take kind of the lot. All right. And finally, let's talk about throwing things away. I know we often see this option as the easy out, but guess what? It's not as easy as we think it is. When it comes to throwing things away, I say immediately as you're doing your purge, there's some things nobody's gonna want. So don't even break your heart trying to sell it, trying to push it off on somebody as a donation. Just throw it away. Depending on where you live, you might be in a kind of neighborhood that doesn't have the, where everybody has the same trash can and the trash can is picked up by a truck. If you're still in that kind of neighborhood and there's something you don't want, just put it out at the end of your driveway with a sign that says free. Hopefully the trash will take itself out. There are some things that you need to just throw away. Like, I was trying to think of a good example. Right now, the only thing that's coming to mind is used underwear. Nobody wants your used underwear. Throw it away. I think we need to be honest with ourselves about some of the things we want, things that have a sentimental attachment only to us. Some of those we are gonna need to just throw away. Okay, so what about electronics? You've got old monitors, you've got old televisions, you've got that box of cables that you've been holding on to in case you need one of them, and now you're moving to Japan, so you don't need to take those cables with you. E-waste, electronic waste. There are only specific places that will take e-waste, so what you need to do is your Google e-waste in your particular area. You probably will have to pay for them to take the e-waste off your hand. Taking things to the dump, your county probably has a dump or a landfill that allows people to dump items there. They don't do that for free, okay? So you need to find out how much they charge, when they're open, that sort of thing. And then I know a lot of people think, oh, well, I'll just call like 1-800-JUNK and they'll come pick up my stuff. They will, but they're gonna charge you for that. And in my experience, it will be hundreds of dollars. Even if it's like I have one item, because 1-800-JUNK goes by how much of the truck your items will fill up. Throwing things away is an option. Just don't think of it as the free option. I hope this video has been useful to you. Are there items that you are struggling to get rid of and you're not sure what to do with it? If so, drop it in the comments. Maybe I or someone else will have an idea for where you can donate that. Thanks for watching, guys. If you've not subscribed, please do that. And if you enjoyed this video, like it, share it with somebody else you think would find it useful.